Okay, hi everybody. We are live yet again. My name is Olga Bolotina, and I'm the host of In the Know Show. And it's a conversation series with environmental and sustainability leaders. And we talking about their life, about their inspirations, and about their current and past work. And I definitely hope that it's going to be inspiring and informational for you. Today, I'm very excited. We're sort of restarting our interview series with an amazing businesswoman and an inspiration. Honestly, I know Jillian Northrup only for a few weeks, right, Jillian?
Yeah.
But already very inspired by her work. So without further ado, Jillian is the co-founder of Model Number, and it's just a recent company that started a couple of years ago, right, Jillian? And
Yep.
then before that, she was also she co-founded a couple other companies, which I'm also excited to talk about. And the mission of Model Number is to create furniture that is unique, beautiful, functional, also sustainable. Also saw some examples. I hope you brought some prompts today also because I want to share with people, but if not, we'll share the website. You absolutely must see it. Jillian is a widely published designer and photographer, and she is passionate about creating innovative products, which we're going to demonstrate operational efficiency and publishing industry and pushing industry boundaries, which I think you're doing in your business and your lifestyle. Jillian holds a double major in Bachelor's of Art and in graphic design and English, and is also co-founder of Design Build Company because we can and we should. All
Thank
right,
you,
Jill.
Olga.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. We had a couple conversations, and I was like, wow, we decided to do a little check-in before this live stream, and we ended up talking for like 45 minutes, I think, the
Yeah.
first time around. So I love your style, by the way. So it's apparent that you're a designer and you put a thought in your personal appearance and in your, how you present yourself. Where does this sort of curiosity stems from? Did you go back to childhood and sort of trace it, or is it just an inspiration?
Curiosity in for manufacturing and design and furniture. Is that what you mean?
Just in general, because you've been spending you've been getting the degree in design, so why design, why put energy into design?
I think it wasn't really that thought through for me. I always was very interested in being in some kind of creative industry from early childhood. I always knew I wanted to go that route. I was, I majored in English, and my first major was actually sculpture and English. And my parents asked me what I was going to do professionally when I graduated, which I didn't really have an answer for. So I decided to switch to graphic design, thinking that I could at least get a job at doing something in there. And then my kind of path was to, after graduating, I moved to San Francisco, pretty like just right after college, thinking that I just knew that I wanted to be in a major metropolitan area and I wanted to do something in a creative field. And then after that, I met my now husband, and he was an architect and studying to become a licensed architect in San Francisco. And not long after meeting him, we actually started our first company, which was the Because We Can, which wound up being a design build architecture firm.
All right.
And that was just an amazing experience. I mean, that was we've run that company for over 10 years and done everything from residential to architectural commercial spaces. We kind of focused on really creative commercial interiors, and we did everything from designing the inside space to actually fabricating and building the inside spaces of commercial and residential spaces.
Wow. Is that how the concept for model number came about? Because you started sort of venturing into manufacturing and realized some things that were missing, or?
Yeah, so it did and it didn't. It was we were going, steadily down that path, running this architecture design build company, and we started we got a new client, and conversations with that client, who eventually became the co-founder of Model Number, were their pains and frustrations in getting custom furniture, which is like one of the things that we did as a service. And if you've ever gotten custom furniture made, you know that the lead times are really long and it's really expensive. And it was just really frustrating. They came at it saying, like, why in this age of digital manufacturing does it take so long to get something? Especially, I think the piece in question that they wanted was a very simple coffee table that that one already existed. They just wanted it in a different size. And so it's not like a whole redesigned concept had to be done or anything, but the lead times were still like so long, and the price tag was so much higher than just getting the one that was off the shelf. So the question was, why is this the case in this age of digital manufacturing? And can digital manufacturing solve that pain? So is it possible to, using digital manufacturing, 3D printing, CNC manufacturing, can you, parametric design, can you very easily to the customer allow for pretty dramatic customization and keep the price tags similar to off-the-shelf pieces and keep the lead times similar to off-the-shelf pieces? So that was the first conversation that led into this fun explore. Like, we spent a long time actually just talking about it and thinking, what would the real benefit be? Where could we leverage the technology to make this really work, and what should we do? Which then led us to 3D printing, where we got really excited of like the turnaround time of being able to have like a back end system where a user could come in and on a website just change a piece and then push an order button, and then that order gets sent to the manufacturing facility, and the operator there just loads the file and prints it. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that 3D printing gives you is the ability to make really complicated forms that would be much harder to make in other processes.
Huh. So, which, of course, makes me realize that you and I know what we're talking about. We never really described what Model Number is. It's the company that produces furniture and other accessories. I mean, what you showed me is like a vase, beautiful vase, from in 3D printing, which technology itself is fascinating. So, I want to also, you shared how you're making sustainable materials, et cetera. So I would love to hear about that also, a little bit about the company.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it's also,
thank you.
Need to keep in mind that people might have not yet looked at it. So
so then kind of to wrap up that story, I guess we chatted about like we should start this company. 3D printing is at a phase in its life, its maturity, to where is it ready for to be used in manufacturing, in like mass manufacturing, where you're like pushing things out all the time, and at scale. So now we're talking, can it make a coffee table? Can it make like a chair in one print, opposed to like making like a little thing for, which, that it's been very successful in making these little things for, say, medical industry or other industries, but can it make big things, and can it make it reliably, and can it make it at that speed, at that scale? So you were talking about this little guy. This is a really cool piece. I love this material. We started making a bunch of different forms on the site, on the Model Number website. We sell furniture and accessories. It's all either 3D printed out of a biodegradable resin, or we also have a line of hardwood materials that we're cutting on the CNCs, and that material is all FS.
CNCs.
What is a C? What is a CNC? Oh, it's just like a big digitally controlled, computer controlled router bed, essentially. So it's like a large bed that you throw pieces of, well, you place gently pieces of hardwoods on, and you can cut out the files. Both pieces work in the same way, though, for the manufacturing process and how it goes through the stream of being able to order it online and then having that come through the system to the manufacturing facility and having that be a custom piece. So unlike more traditional manufacturing, where you might have someone who, you know, is pulling up a file and saying, oh, here's the table that we make, I need to make another one of those, and pulling up that file, the file is actually coming directly from the website. So someone can go in and change their vase form. They can make it bigger, they can make it taller, they can make it fatter, they can change the twist of the form, change the color, and then they can press go, and then this piece, but you know, the one that the user developed on the website comes through the system, and then the 3D printer can print it. And similarly with the wood products, we have these tables, and people can customize the table so they can make it whatever size is perfect for their space, and then send that through, and then that gets ordered on the website, and then the files get sent directly to the shop floor. So no, there's no remaking of files on the other end. The file that's made on the website is directly made then in the manufacturing.
And they can pick it up in Oakland facility, which I also want to touch.
That's
so
right.
Locally manufactured, locally produced.
Locally manufactured, locally produced. All the woods are FSC certified. Most of it comes from, well, it's all from our local distributors. Most of it comes from the Pacific Northwest. In terms of the woods, the bioresins, the biopolymers, all come from the United States. They're made by Material Science in the US, and we work with a couple different vendors to get us these really cool materials. One is just a biodegradable polymer. It's clear, and then we color it. It's made out of a waste stream from the agricultural industry, where they take the crops, the sugarcane and the beets and the corn husks, so all the leftover pieces that they can't use and that need to go to compost, they can actually sell to the material science companies who can make this resin out of it. So it's technically a biodegradable material, which is very cool. And then this one in particular has an additional material added to it. This is a combination of that resin with sawdust from the lumber mill industry and the flooring industries, who have a sawdust waste that they have to do something with. And so they buy that up and they mix it together. So this is actually 3D printed wood, if you think about it, because it's the sawdust mixed in with that. And then we have, depending on the sawdust that gets collected, sometimes it's lighter and sometimes it's darker. So we have different color tones, which come completely just from the wood itself. There's no other colorant or anything added into that. This is also biodegradable in your city compost. So Alameda County, we've talked to them and they have approved that you can actually throw this in your compost bin if you needed to for that.
Wow.
But
I can't wait to visit the facility, honestly. I'm inviting.
Oh, yes. That's right. Well, I told you last time we talked, we're moving facilities right now into a little bit larger of a space, which is we're super excited about. It's down on the, right off the estuary in Oakland, along Embarcadero there. And we're gonna have an open house in June, which I'm gonna massively publicize. figure out how to do an in-person event, you know, totally safe and masked and everything. And a lot of our facility we have a big outside space, and it's a big enough space that we think we can do it safely. And we're just so excited to show off that space and be able to show all of our products and the process. It's really fun to come in and see these 3D printers that we built our own 3D printers. They're massive, huge things that can print like a whole table, or we have this like chaise lounge that's like 4 feet wide, and it prints that in one go. So being able to see that stuff in action is super fun. So it'd be great.
Me too. I would love to. Hopefully we can invite a lot of people. Yeah. And do it safely. I was just joking. It's like we should do a masquerade, you know?
A masquerade, yes.
Right. No, it's fabulous. You know, I'm curious because I mean, obviously, a lot of thought went into creating those products, not just from plastics, you know, which would be probably convenient, and I don't know if it's cheaper or not. I'm not, you know, pretending to be knowledgeable in manufacturing to that degree, but clearly a lot of thought went into sourcing materials that are sustainable, and I'm a huge fan of sort of that eco-industrial park or sort of circular economy, obviously, that where the waste from one industry becomes the raw material for another industry. So,
yeah, it's kind of like,
no,
it's like upcycling in a way of that material, which we're really excited about. It was honestly something that we did in our last company because we always used sustainable materials, and then when we started Model Number, we used sustainable materials, but we didn't really promote it. You know, when I was doing the architecture company, people cared a little bit, but like it wasn't really the decision-making factor. And when we started Model Number, it seemed like that was still the case. But more recently, it has become more of a issue, and people are turning towards it. So it's just very exciting that we get to promote it and that people are so responsive to it now, because it was honestly something that we've been doing from the beginning. It just wasn't our top tier, you know, marketing speak, because it didn't seem to resonate as much. But now there's been a shift for sure, and people are more interested in it, which is really, really exciting, because we can really promote that side of our company that we are really proud of. And there's so many interesting materials happening now in the industry that we get to take advantage of. And it's all so new that it's, you know, this material, for example, is super new. The vendor that we're working with, you know, we've gotten some of it. They don't even have it on their list as a material that they offer. And then, you know, we've been getting batches of it, and then we get another batch of it and it looks completely different, which is actually why we have 2 colors. They didn't tell us it was going to be a different color. They're just like, oh yeah, it's a different color, because that's what we got. And so now we've been working with them to try to figure out, okay, so then every time we order from you, is it going to be random, or do we get to know what color it's going to be? So it, you know, there's benefits to things being so new and innovative and exciting, and there's downsides where you just don't know. You're so early in the game that everyone is trying to figure things out at the same time. So it can be a little frustrating, and just more work. And it is, you know, it is more expensive to get the biodegradable materials than the petroleum-based materials. But I don't think that that's always going to be the case. I think it's like the electric car argument. You know, you have to buy into it now so that we can push it over the edge to where it becomes the norm and it becomes what we're all using. We are on a mission to be completely away from petroleum-based materials in our products. And the more cyclic materials that we can bring in, the happier we are. And we're constantly striving for that. But like I said, it's also new, and we're getting new materials available to us all the time.
Yeah. Can you take your own things that you created and upcycle it also, like, take back program type of thing?
We can.
You can, yeah. So this
Yeah.
is something also that another thing, producer responsibility. You probably know that, when producers responsible for their own products and the whole life cycle. So either taking it back at the end of the lifestyle. I mean, in this case, it seems like the products are pretty durable, so they probably last a long time. But let's say a person is no longer doesn't like this style, doesn't like this color,
Right.
and want to exchange something, that might be also interesting. And you might be already thinking about that sort of, especially locally, how to upcycle and renew the styles. So
We absolutely are thinking about that. We have in the works to launch a plan that is, I'm like, did we talk about this before? Because you hit it right on the nose. We're going to launch a program that starts locally at first, where we can take the material back, take the products back if it's at its end of life for you, and you don't have another place to donate it to, or to give it to someone else. And sometimes furniture just gets beat up, and maybe something happened and it got broken, or it got damaged in some way, or like you said, you've just outgrown it, and to be able to responsibly dispose of it. So all of our stuff can be very easily responsibly disposed of, in that it is all biodegradable or recyclable in some way. So with just your city cans, you could responsibly dispose of it. But even better way would be to bring it back to us, because we do this in-house all the time, because we produce a lot of things as we're prototyping and as we're testing things. We produce things that wind up not going anywhere, not becoming anything that anyone's going to use. And we can take that, and we have a big grinder, and we grind it back up into like little pellets, and then we put it back into our material stream. So we're self-recycling in our own facility all the time, which is a really great use of it. And we've actually come up with, we have a color tone that we call Tweed, which is this mix of black and white, and we use that is completely made out of in-house recycled material. So we just take all of our black and all of our white things we've ever made, and we just mix them together into this color, and it makes this cool black, white, gray, tweedy mix color, which is really fun.
Nice. I was like, I'm wondering, I don't know why, for some reason we were talking about beets being one of the sources of material. I'm like, do they use red color from beets? Because if anybody, it's like, I'm Russian, so I cook borscht quite a bit, and borscht is a Russian beet soup, so it's impossible not to color everything with beet juice. So I don't know why my brain went directly there.
Yeah, being able to use like a vegetable dyes is something that we would love to get into as well. The beets that are used in this process are like a sugar beet, and they're using the not the edible parts. So they're using the leaves and the extra parts that they don't wind up using as part of like the agricultural waste. And that's all about, they extract the starches to make this plastic-like material out of it. But yeah, I'm really excited about launching the buyback or the take back program, where we're going to be able to accept pieces back, and we're planning to roll that out this summer. It's something that's definitely been an initiative on our list.
Great. And I don't think we actually talked about it before, but I think that we both in sustainability fields. So it's again, we also before just this morning, we talked about how some things are so obvious to you when you're in this field. And no, it's like, preceding graduate school, that was a whole conversation also about how do you make processes circular rather than, you know, linear as industrial countries doing it. So that's why, you know, I was just thinking about it. You know, not to geek out completely, but can you mix different materials, so resins from you know, those bioplastics, so to speak, or I'm probably misusing the word resin because it's the material itself, and the sawdust, for example. Can you mix them, or do you have two
Yep.
different? Okay.
You can mix them. So the sawdust is actually mixed with a very similar resin material to make it 3D printable. But they're totally mixable in themselves. We have experimented with making different color tones out of, you know, putting some of one color in with the wood color to try to make more tweedy effects or different ideas there. So yeah, they are mixable, and there's lots of other materials that are coming on the market that we've been working with people to try to get our hands on, so that we can experiment with it, like 3D printed wool and 3D printed cotton and all these other organics that are coming in. To just, what it does is it makes the resin material stretch more, so you're not using as much of that because you have this other filler that's in there. Like with this one, you know, because it's got the wood in it, it doesn't have as much of the resin in it, so it's got the resin goes further, and you're able to use the wood, makes it a little bit more biodegradable, faster. And then the cottons and the wools, they also solve a industry need for a way for those industries to make a little bit more income on the stuff that they're producing, because they have a lot of waste that they can't use in the income streams that they have, which is just like this stuff. It's just like the sawdust and the agricultural waste. Like that stuff was considered a waste product. And so they had to figure out, is this something that we can sell to people and be able to like have an additional income stream for, instead of having to pay to dispose of it. So in the wool and the cotton industries, there's material left over that isn't suitable for making clothing or other uses for these material. And so they have this, like, it's like a lesser grade, you know, it's like not as soft, not as nice, not as workable. There's something about it that just doesn't work for the industries that they typically sell to. So it's essentially a waste product, but they can add it to these resins and make it 3D printable, thus making the resins go further, making it really eco-friendly and biodegradable, and but still super, super durable. I mean, when we say biodegradable, we just mean that it's not petroleum based. It's not going to sit around and just last and not break down for eons. You know, instead, what we can do is we can know that like in 500 years it won't be here anymore. And if put in certain scenarios, like an industrial compost system, like if you sent it to like the Alameda County compost where they have the industrial composter, it will break down in that, but it won't break down in your backyard and it won't break down in your home. But those materials really allow for those industries to be able to use another income stream for their stuff, and they get us different textures as well. Like you can see that this doesn't quite look like plastic. It does and it doesn't. It has a really interesting texture. So that's a nice thing that those materials do, is they allow us to not have to use pigments. We can use the organic material as the colorant itself. And then they add this very interesting textural element that people really resonate to, because it doesn't quite look like plastic. It looks like something natural, and it looks like a real material.
I think people like, yeah, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I mean, there's a reason why wood has been used in furniture for so long and in the interior design. And you know, it's one of the sort of I have to be completely frank, as like the whole LEED certification sort of design, you know, I
Yeah.
love it from the from the whole sustainability, energy preservation and resources preservation aspect. But a lot of times you walk into those buildings and it'll feel cementy. It's just like I
Mm.
always want. Can we put some greenery here? Just because it's LEED certified, it doesn't have to be always so disconnected sort of from the natural environment that makes it, in my opinion, very cozy. I mean, you're a designer, but I fancy myself with some. It's like I have some visions.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying, just that softness that you're desiring. And that's something that those organic materials bring in. They bring in a softness to the pieces that really make it really suitable for the home. It's something that you want in your house, that like very approachable, soft feeling material. And that's kind of our desire with our company, is to create these furniture and accessory pieces that are very approachable and accessible to people to be able to have in their home. We want to make them very easy to buy and easy to buy into this eco-friendly stream of a way of manufacturing product, instead of the more traditional of making product overseas and shipping it in and warehousing it, doing all that. We're making everything on demand locally in Oakland right now. We plan to, open another facility as needed as we grow and expand. But we get all of our material from as local as possible. We get all our raw goods, and then we produce it all here with local talent and local staff.
I love it. You just answered the question that I had. I was like, the people, I'm assuming, and now probably it's more difficult because people are all over. I mean, we're all still quarantining, but yeah, that you employ. I mean, Oakland also is Bay Area, just in general, is such a wealth of talent and inspiration. People, I'm just looking at artists in Bay Area. Oh my God, the things that they create. But you know what, I'm wondering also, when you were talking about the ecological aspect of your what you produce, I think there's a huge sort of connection now that people are making between their personal health and their surrounding. And I think that people are sort of becoming so conscious, all of those things with children toys and, just constantly, we're putting in our environment things that are toxic. And even if on a very small level, if they emit some kind of toxin in the air, we all surrounding ourselves with that. So I think having something that is healthy in your environment that you're using, touching, looking at, I think it's amazing. So
yeah, and that's exactly where we're going. I'm working on getting us Green Guard certified right now, because I looked into it and I was like, oh, we can absolutely qualify for this, because everything that we use and produce is like so ridiculously low on the VOC and the toxicity standard. The material itself, is even printing it, which would be the most toxic part of using some kind of material like this, printing it, because you get it really hot to print it. So that would be the time when like it was off, like releasing gases and stuff. And even during that, the spec sheets on it say that you should just have like regular ventilation that one would have in like an office, like just like some standard ventilation that would be appropriate for healthy people inhabiting a space. So the stuff we're producing, the stuff that we're using in our products is also so low on the VOC and toxicity level. And like I said before, when we first got into doing that sort of thing, we did it for kind of selfish reasons. We did it for ourselves, because we were like, I don't want to work with toxic materials. Myself and my husband and our staff were all around this stuff every day. Like, we don't want to be exposing ourselves to anything bad. So we're not going to produce anything that's bad for our immediate environment. And then our customers get that benefit as well.
You know, I'm full of ideas today, I guess. What if you added like lavender into your resin? It's like, would it give us like furniture with a scent type of thing, you know?
Would it have a scent? I would definitely have a scent when it printed. I don't know if it would continue to scent when it was dry. Maybe. That's interesting.
Geranium or lavender, or all of those sort of soothing smells. I wonder.
Right.
Might be something to experiment with, you know, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to look into that. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. I've definitely seen it like pressed in paper and that sort of thing, which is, you know, getting into some different materials there would be fun as well.
Yeah, or oh my God, I'm completely geeking out. Or, you know, at the end of the process, putting some seeds or something like that to create different texture. I don't know. I obviously a designer died in me. I need to another degree. Yeah, but that's
Yep.
exciting. Mhm.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's the different kinds of materials that are coming out. Oh, you know what I've been talking to lately is in textiles, because we're starting to get into more textile stuff. So I've been talking to some different people who do different kinds of textiles. There's a great company here in Emeryville that just is releasing their mushroom leather, and then there's some companies down in LA that are doing some things with a recycled leather. We're currently using a recycled leather, but I'd like to try to get a more local source. So that's when they take leather from the company we're working with, uses leather from the leather glove industry, like work gloves. And so they take all the scraps and then they kind of make a soup and then they make a new leather sheet out of all these scraps of leather. Kind of like a paper making process. Like if you've ever seen paper being made, it's a similar process with leather, but they're actually able to upcycle these leather scraps and make new leather out of it. So it's a recycled leather sheet, but it's still actually leather. And then
all veganists are going, ooh, it's leather. But
it is leather. Yeah, it's leather.
Yeah.
Second time round. And you know, we're trying to get away from leather as well and get more into the vegan leather, but you know, I want to be really conscious of that, because a lot of vegan leather, you have to be careful, is just petroleum based. It's like vinyl, right? So you need to actually read about what you're buying because vegan leather doesn't have any kind of certification name around it. It's not like buying organic. People can use the word vegan kind of wherever they'd like to. So
well, it's interesting because you know, this like I have conversations. It's like, you know, paper or plastic bag type of conversation. You know, it's interesting because yes, you're right. You're not being cruel to animals and not killing animals for leather, but then you're putting so much material into the planet that is. You're right. You're going to be sitting there forever. And yeah, I think that. You know, you were talking about the mushroom leather, which I would love to hear about, but and that's why I was like, yes, it's right. Vegan leather is made out of plastic, basically, right? Like
a lot of it is, not all of it, but a lot of it is, yeah.
But it's actually interesting for you know, my government hat is coming on for a second. I was like, there's no regulations around calling petroleum leather vegan, which is sort of not completely right. And another connection, if you know how petroleum is produced, it's produced from the remnants of biomass, basically through millions of years. So technically, it's not vegan either. Sorry, I made like connection.
Yeah, if you want to go that far, then yeah.
You know, I love in one of my presentations, I use this image. There's a charging station, gas charging station, and on the bottom of it is a dinosaur. So you're basically extracting the dinosaur. I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. You know, whoever came up with that was just brilliant. So anyway.
But yeah, I was looking at So the recycled leather, and then the vegan leather that we are looking at is cactus based and apple based. So those are the two vegetable leathers that that I'm currently trying to get my hands on, and hopefully be bringing that into our product line later this year, which would be super cool.
Apple and cactus. I was like, I was like, I don't know. I don't even know. I was like, how do you make, and why those two? Why cactus and why apple?
It's something to do with the fiber composition of it, being able to, you know, have the strength, because it needs a lot of strength in a textile to hold together and take that pressure. You know, whether you're making even just a bag or like a sling seat, you know, which is like a product that we currently have, which is a slung seat of leather. So it's a lot of force on there. So the material itself needs to have a lot of strength. So the fibers just need to be able to take that and also be workable, you know, be workable and sewable and all that. There's a lot that comes into it. It's pretty complicated, but you know, the strides in that area for materials is really fascinating, and really there's a lot of interest in it right now, and both in the garment industry, the shoe industry, and we're hoping to pull it all into the furniture industry.
That's amazing to me. I was like, I think I shared with you many years ago when I was just in my sustainable MBA. We were doing a report on I think it was Fiske, is one of those car manufacturers that sort of was starting this about the same time as Tesla, and they were doing their body of the car from carbon fiber made from carrots. So I was like,
wow,
like carrots, and how do you make? It's like, you know, so just engineering in that regard, bioengineering is just amazing also to me. But for some reason, cactus and apple, I was like, they're so soft. I was like, they're falling apart. How do you? Anyway, but that's why I'm not a bioengineer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the material science there is new, but it's also not new. You know, I think our whole society got waylaid by petroleum and really just went deep into that as the answer for all of our needs. And but there was a lot before petroleum became the answer to everything. Like in the 20s, you know, bioplastics were being developed. Bakelite is a bioplastic. It's made out of milk solids. There was a lot of science put in that area that just kind of got pushed aside because petroleum became the winner, and then petroleum became so cheap for us to produce, and so then everything got made out of that. So now we just have to pull ourselves out of that petroleum crutch, and as more things become made out of the bioplastics and these more sustainable materials like the cactus leather and the apple leather, we can get away from those petroleum products. These products will become more affordable as more things get made out of them and more industry starts using them. Yeah. So we all just need to kind of get on the bandwagon and move in that direction.
Right. Well, and also I think what we're talking about is also I'm very conscious about is like consumption is, I mean, but the reality of it is that very few people are going to stop buying things. You know, let's just be realistic. You know, I'm in the sustainability environmental field and I know it all, yet you know, I still buy things and probably more than I should. But how can we create those things in a way that has minimal effect on us, on things around us, on the nature? So I think that is the question. You know, something that you were saying that in the last, you know, couple of years, or actually you didn't say how recently you noticed that shift towards people been curious and sort of buying on the stance of sustainability and environmental impact. So when did you notice the shift and why do you think it happened?
It's a good question. I mean, I definitely noticed it more when COVID started, a little bit before. I mean, we were definitely going that direction in 2019. Um, there was a push there, but I think people just had more time to think about it and more time in their homes, you know, looking at their pieces and thinking about if they were going to buy something, where should they put that money, you know, what area should they invest in, to put it bluntly. It's like when you know, to your point of, yeah, we're not just trying to promote buying things, but everyone eventually does need to buy something for a particular reason. And when you're like, oh, okay, you know, I need a dining table for whatever reason, now you need a dining table. When you go and make that purchase, you know, just be aware of what you're buying. You know, where does what you where does where was it made? How was it made? What is it made of? What are you bringing into your home? What are you investing in? And use your money the way that, put your money where you want your money to go.
Yeah. And yeah, a cruelty factor also. I think also in the sense of you know, recovering jobs, I think it's important that we creating systems that support our workforce, you know, our people locally. And I think that that's incredibly important. You know what, I do want to go back a little bit, because it's like you clearly have an amazing career. I mean, you're taking your creativity and you're applying it in a way that is both, you know, very useful, and but also with that sort of business hat on, how to make good for the world and also make a profit, which is actually interesting to me, because there are not too many women in the space. So I'm curious always, where do you go for strength, for inspiration, for support? Because I, you know, like I struggle all the time with confidence, quite frankly. I mean, I know people probably looking at me never will think that, but I was like, I analyze, overthink. It was like it taking me sort of to my 40s to be sort of more confident and actually going for what I really want and
Yeah.
be okay with that. So where are you getting your strength?
I mean, I don't think that anyone ever gets away from feeling a lack of confidence at some point. I think it's just the nature of being a human and being, I mean, it's good to be self-reflective and to constantly improve yourself. I get the question a lot of, you know, being a woman in this industry. And I think I'm really lucky in that I have, through family and friends, just a really strong backing of very successful, driven women. It's never been a question in my mind of, should I, you know, should I be successful? Can I start my own business? I mean, I never really thought that I couldn't, but I do occasionally recognize that it is, these industries are very male heavy, and when I do get the chance to work with other women, it is wonderful, I have to say. And just bringing in more diversity into both the tech industry, because I think we're on this line of, we're in the fabrication industry, but we're also on the tech industry. So we're kind of in both. Both of those are very heavily male dominated areas, and they're also very like white male dominated areas. So just getting diversity across the board into both those sectors is really great. And when we are able to do that, it's lovely. And I've had good relationships with both industries, and I've never really had an issue being a woman throughout them. But at the same time, I don't put a lot of thought into, which maybe I should put a little more thought into, if there are issues there, I tend to just, keep going, which maybe is necessary, just keep going and keep moving forward. And when you find people that are great to work with, bring them with you.
Yeah, no, it's actually, I heard somewhere, find people that you like and like to work with, and then identify the project that you want to do together, because I think, yeah,
it's important. I mean, people, at the end of the day, it's all people, all the way up and all the way down, and finding good people to help, that are of the same mind, and you all want to do the same kind of thing, is where we all need to be to have successful careers and happy lives.
But it very much resonates with me, because I'm thinking about, especially after 2020, about sort of that word resiliency comes up all the time. And the modern society, I have a little bit of like, it sort of tells you all the time, you need to specialize, you need to choose something, you need to distill it to 5 things that you do, to be whatever, thin and healthy type of thing. I was like, well, what, and actually, if I'm looking at my life, it's never one thing, and it's never the same thing in any given moment. Sometimes, to sustain resiliency, I need to just sit down and meditate by myself and just crawl in my own little dark corner and just think and be, even if it's painful, to sort of walk through that pain. And sometimes I need to pick up the phone and call a friend. But I think that what you're saying about being surrounded by by people who actually uplift you in a gentle way, a lot of times, which I have a lot of Russian friends who are very like, you are not doing it correct. Wow. I was like, please just lay off me, but we at least can have that conversation, I think community is immensely important.
Well, I've been really lucky in that as well, because I've had my husband and business partner for 20 years going, that we've worked together on various things since the time we met. We kind of met working on things, and then just continued that through our relationship. And it doesn't have to be the person that you're married to, but having someone like that is able to, you're able to pass things back and forth with, having a partner, so that you don't have to go everything alone, is really valuable. It's not for everyone, and absolutely working with your spouse is 100% not for everyone. It either works or it doesn't, but having a partner in this trajectory of running a business that you can really rely on to you pick up slack for each other when needed, you pull each other in line when that's needed, you remind each other what the direction is that you need to go in. It's a great added benefit to becoming successful in business, is having a partner. And many times it's not a spouse. There's plenty of examples of 2 or 3 people who have built companies, multiple companies together, that just found that they work really well together. And being able to not have to do it alone, we shouldn't feel like we have to do everything alone.
It's interesting. For me personally, I'm realizing that this message is landing very well, because I've been in that space of wanting to start my own business, and I'm in that defining stage, what it is that I can, provide value in. And I'm sort of coming to that more and more. And I was like, I really would love to work with somebody. And I was like, the question, how do you find those people? And I was like, of course, I guess you need to go out. And how did you find your husband? It was like another question. I was like, I want to know, you clearly been married for 20 years, you've been working and living together. So what is the secret to good relationship and maintaining that over time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I hope that there will one day be a 1-sentence answer for that question.
Do you have any sort of rituals or anything that you think, oh, that is really keeping us sort of strong?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different for everyone, of course. We've worked together for long enough that we have little things that we do and rules that we even made like years ago of but I mean, I can tell you some of them. So, okay, one of the rules is that you can say at any time, if it's after, like 7 p.m., for example, you can say at any time to the other person, I don't want to talk about work anymore. because when do you stop, right? Because you work all day, you live with this, like, where is the line? Especially now that we're working out of the home, it's like there's no line of like, I'm at work, now I'm not at work. So we tend to talk about work like it encompasses everything. It encompasses the whole life. So being able to say that and have the other person, the rule is the other person just has to stop and be fine with that and be able to turn it off. So that's an important one, I think. But these things grow organically. Of course, I didn't know when I met my husband that we would run a company together. That wasn't, one of our first conversations. And if you're looking to start a company, it might, unless you have someone that you're talking through an idea with, if it's really your idea, then you should lead it. And you should find people to be your helpers in this passion that you want to move forward. You shouldn't necessarily try to find someone who is your equal, because it's perfectly it's perfectly fine. And there's tons of examples of being a sole proprietor, being a sole leader in a company and just having people that support you. Support staff is like the most valuable stuff. If you can find people that are great to work with and are interested in your mission and are interested in helping you drive your mission, keep those people, keep them close to you, keep them have that relationship, because that is just a wonderful relationship. And those people are invaluable. Good people, good is, again, it's like, it's what makes business work. It's what makes our business work. We have a great staff right now. We have really talented designers that we work with. We have, super talented people in the manufacturing. Everyone across the board is so passionate about our mission and really, really cares about producing good quality product and cares about the customer and cares about the whole experience. And having a good team and having good people to support your mission is what it has to be that way in order for it to work.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I think when you really behind the mission and the values of any company or organization or enterprise, I think it's I mean, I can speak for myself. I can work, I can go for hours, if you know what I mean, if I really am passionate about something. So I think we need more passionate people. I was just reflecting with my friend the other day. I was like, what carried me through last year, quite frankly, in a lot of ways, is volunteering with the Sierra Club. I mean, it just hands down, that involvement, that sort of bigger mission to be a part of. I think it means a lot. And so I'm making a little pitch for people to volunteer and get involved in something that I think both Jillian and I are talking about. That's something, find your passion and find the people who you can implement that passion in the world. And it makes life so much more, I think, interesting, constantly growing, constantly exploring, constantly reflecting.
Yeah, and why not spend all your time working, you spend so much of your life working. It should be towards something that you truly believe in and that you're passionate about.
And with people that you enjoy spending time with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jillian, the hour is almost up. We have like 1 minute. Anything that you want to share to leave with wisdom, etc.
Wisdom. Well, I should do a small pitch just to, I don't think I told people who are listening that we are online at modelno.com. Please look us up and check out what we have going on there. You can sign up for our newsletter. We have both just a lot of interesting, exciting news coming up in the next coming months, as well as cool new products coming out. So I'd love to get people's feedback. You can find us on social at modelnumberfurniture.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jillian. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to also give a little pitch for the Sierra Club. Please join the Sierra Club, where we do host a lot of interesting events and obviously save this planet for all of us so we can do this creative and amazing work. So thank you so much, Jillian. It's been a pleasure. I cannot wait to come to the open house. Wink, wink.
Absolutely, in June. Yeah, keep out for it. Keep a lookout for it, and that's also a good reason to sign up on that newsletter because you'll get invited to the open house in June.
Thank you. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And until next time, have an amazing life with amazing people.
Thanks, Olga.
Love.
Bye.
I think we're still live. It's just me now. Well, I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I'll see you hopefully next Friday. So